some details and information leak about Xbox's big summer game showcase, and Redfall has a PR disaster. Two different types of stories, but we gotta talk about both. Let's get into it. Going on, everybody? It's Randall Thor19, the man with the million, back again with another video. Let's get right into it. Make sure to like the video and please subscribe if you're new. We have two different topics to talk about on the extreme ends of things. We have some details that leaked regarding Xbox Game Showcase and the Starfiled Direct coming at you on June 11th. We're going to be talking about that later on in the video because first and foremost, we got to talk about some games. We got to talk about one particular game that is coming really soon. Redfall from Bethesda and Xbox, their first big AAA game of this year, their first game that is launching at the new price point, the current gen price point of $70. And wow, they have had an absolutely horrible, some would say disastrous PR week. Because last week, IGN first posted their gameplay capture of Redfall, and I'll be quite honest with you guys, I have been looking forward to Redfall since they announced it. I love Arcane, Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Prey, and Deathloop, and every time Xbox and Bethesda has shown Redfall, I've gotten more excited, except for this IGN first footage. Quite honestly, I thought it looked horrible. I thought it really showed the game in a bad light, but I thought to myself, whatever. We've seen this sort of things before from websites where they send someone out to play it and they don't know what they're doing. We all remember the infamous Doom 2016 video, so I just talked it up to a person not really understanding what's going on with Redfall, and I was going to judge the game for myself when it comes out on May 2nd. But now it's starting to look like, you know what, maybe I won't even be playing the game on May 2nd, because Bethesda came out today and dropped some awful news for those of us who like to play games at a higher frame rate. So Redfall tweeted this out earlier today and said, Redfall is launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. Xbox Series X, the world's most powerful console, will be playing the game at 4K 30 FPS, while the Xbox Series S will be playing at 1440p 30 FPS. 60 FPS performance mode will be added via game update at a later date. Why does it seem that every decision Arcane has made with Redfall is the wrong one? And don't worry, I will be ranting about this 30 FPS thing in just a minute, because it really seems like every time they've talked about this game, the very first time they showed it off, everybody was saying, oh, it's just a Left 4 Dead Back 4 Blood clone. And it took them almost a year plus to convince people that no, it's not like those games, it's like Far Cry. And then we got the information that if you're playing in co-op, only the host actually get story progress, even though the people joining them would get character progress. And that just struck me as odd, considering there are games right now you can play co-op that give both people progress to the story, but Arcane went with a different direction. And then of course there's the whole drama about the always online. Nothing they have ever shown or talked about with this game has said to me, yep, you totally need an always online connection. It didn't make any sense. At least Harvey Smith did say that they're going to work and drop that feature in the future, and the future seems to be the running theme here. The reason I am upset about this, and I'm only ever going to speak for myself, I don't speak for anybody else, so if whatever I say about the situation doesn't apply to you, I understand. But I am really frustrated with all the decisions they've made with Redfall, and this one might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I was like, all right, I could play it in co-op with my friends if we always keep the same host. Always online, I don't understand it. They never gave any good reasons why they need it, but you know what? I don't play my Xbox unless I'm always online anyways. But 30 FPS, I'm sorry, 30 FPS in 2023 for a shooter is awful. It makes first-person shooter games feel like complete ass. So now I don't even want to play the game at launch anymore. And why should I? Because we have Arcane coming out here telling the world that the game is incomplete at launch. This isn't like one of those things where they say, oh, later on in the future, we got DLC with extra characters and cosmetics and all that sort of stuff. No, they're basically come out and saying, hey, for those of you that like performance mode, it's not going to be available day one, it's going to be available later. Essentially telling me, teasing me, that the version I'm going to get at launch isn't the complete version. In fact, if I do wait, I will get a better version down the road. I want 60 FPS, and even though I played Plague's Tale Requiem and Gotham Knights at 30 FPS, the developers weren't out there before the game came out and said, hold on, 60 FPS is coming at some point. No, they said that this is the game, play it, enjoy it. If you don't play it, whatever. Here we have Arcane basically saying, game's not ready, 60 FPS is coming later. And you know what, maybe it's gonna come the week the game releases, maybe it'll be a month later, who knows, maybe it'll be 3 to 6 months later, I don't know. But I really don't like this era in AAA video game, especially with live services, where it's like, we need to ship the game and we will patch it later, because this right here is totally unacceptable. And you know what it falls on? It falls on Xbox. Because now the conversation isn't about how Redfall could be really cool. It's strictly about how Xbox can't run their studios. What are they doing over there? They're completely incompetent. I know everything's about hot takes and extreme things, and it's just easy to point to, you're the problem, when in reality, the most likely explanation was the game was going to launch with 60 FPS mode, but they ran into some last-minute problems. Now, personally, I would want the game to be delayed, because it's already delayed in my eyes. The developer's telling me a better version is going to be available later. Why would I want to play this inferior version day one? Xbox probably isn't going to delay it. The game is supposed to be out in 3 weeks. I can't imagine them actually doing it. And I know some people might say that Xbox never promised this game was going to be 60 FPS, and I would say cut that out. Every single time they've shown gameplay of Redfall, whether it's at the Xbox Game Showcase or Developer Direct, it has been 60 FPS with Xbox button prompts. Sure, it was running on PC at the time most likely, but I don't know about you guys, but I find that incredibly misleading. When I'm watching a gameplay demonstration of a game that's running at 60 FPS, I expect the game that I'm going to be playing when it comes out to be 60 FPS. And all of a sudden I hear, you know what, 60 FPS is coming later. They don't even give a time frame. It could be a year from now for all we know. So they advertise the game as 60 FPS. It's going to launch at 30, so I'm very disappointed with that, which is totally different from Starfield, which has only ever been shown at 30 FPS, which is why I've only ever thought it was going to be 30 FPS, and why I wouldn't necessarily be disappointed if it was. But you know what? Maybe this isn't a big deal. Maybe Arcane and Microsoft have telemetry data that shows most people play their games on quality mode, and that most people can't tell the difference between 60 and 30. And 30 FPS is a fine thing for them, and the game won't suffer for it. It very well could be the truth. I don't really know. All I can give you is my opinion. I don't want to play this game at 30 FPS. I don't want to play it in co-op if I'm not the host. And it seems like in a world where Redfall is a new IP, and it needs all the help it can get to be a success, to stand out in a world where other AAA games and big games in the service are dominating people's times, that you would want to show the game off in a positive light with great decisions. Instead, it seems like some of the recent decisions are going to hamper its success. Or maybe not. I don't really know. Maybe nobody really cares that the game is going to be only running at 30 FPS and it's just going to be me. Either way, I would like to see the game delayed so it's content complete, much like I wanted Halo Infinite to be delayed to be content complete. But I understand that more than likely they're not going to be able to do it because it comes out really soon. I'm just really disappointed by this. Just one more thing I wanted to mention before we talk about the Xbox Game Showcase stuff, and that is if you feel performance mode isn't important enough to launch Redfall with, and you're going to patch in later, are there some other things that might be missing from the game, or might be broken, or might be wrong, that you are going to patch in or out at a later time simply because you can't fix it by the time May 2nd comes? That is also something on my mind. So let me know how you all feel about Redfall in the comments below. Are you okay with 30 FPS? Would you like to see it delayed until it gets a 60 FPS mode? Sound off in the comments below. Well, I think that whole Redfall segment went on a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I did have a lot to say about it. Now we're going to talk about the Xbox Game Showcase, leaked details, and all that sort of stuff. So a Twitter user by the name of Walking Cat, who is someone plugged into the whole Microsoft development thing, they leak a lot of things and are always right about stuff Microsoft and Xbox is doing. He tweeted out that the Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct is on June 11th between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Pacific time. So for those of you on the East Coast, it'll be basically 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. So a 2-hour segment. So that begs the question, how is all this actually going to be segmented? Because as we know, the Starfiled Direct is immediately following the Xbox Showcase. In fact, Aaron Greenberg had a tweet last month that said, save the date, June 11th, we have a double feature planned with our Xbox Game Showcase and Starfield Direct. Excited to see the work by our studios and partner teams are going to bring this to life. So if you have 2 hours blocked off, more than likely the show is going to be like how it has been in the past, where the Xbox Game Showcase is an hour and a half long, followed by 30 minutes of Starfield with Todd showing everything off about the game. However, if it's an hour and a half long, what is Xbox actually going to show during this event? We know there's a lot of games people want to see, from Avowed to Fable to Everwild to State of Decay 3 to Perfect Dark. What is id Software working on? What about ZeniMax Online? Can we see Machine Games, Indiana Jones? How about Compulsion? And the list goes on and on and on about first-party Xbox studios and what potentially might be there. And the problem is, you can't really predict a show, although I will try closer to the June date, simply because Xbox threw a curveball last year with this whole 12-month thing that it seemed at the time some people were okay with and some people did not like. Well, as time went on, and the fact that Starfield and Forza Motorsport didn't make that cutoff date among some other games, most people are basically saying, don't ever do that again. And I fall in that camp. Don't do a 12-month show. Show things that are coming this year. Show things that are coming in 2024. Hell, announce something that might be coming in 2025. People just want to see the games that you announced all the way back in 2020. It's been 3 years. People just want a glimpse of Fable. They want to know and see what inXile is working on and what they've been teasing on Twitter. Let me actually pose a question to you guys, because Aaron Greenberg's tweet did say the Xbox Game Showcase. He didn't make any mention of Bethesda. In fact, the last 2 summer showcases for Xbox were called the Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase. This year, it's just called the Xbox Game Showcase. So does that mean Bethesda's not going to be at the show? It's quite possible. They did release Hi-Fi Rush and Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox this year. They will be releasing Redfall, which will be out before the showcase. Starfield has its own direct after the show. Maybe the other Bethesda studios don't have anything ready, and that's why it's simply called the Xbox Game Showcase. Or maybe Xbox PR felt, you know what? We can't call it the Xbox and Bethesda and Activision Blizzard King Showcase in the future. We're going to have to shorten it to just be Xbox. And we no longer need to call it Xbox and Bethesda because people know Bethesda is Xbox at this point. Either way, what we are getting is a 2-hour event block. I think it's going to be an hour and a half of the Xbox Game Showcase, and with Starfield not being at the show, that means it won't be during the Xbox Showcase. That means something else can open up the show, and that means something else can close the show. We have new picks to choose from. Do you open with Hellblade 2 or do you close with Hellblade 2? What about Avowed? What about some brand new announcements? Now I'm thinking about all the different possibilities are countless. There's so many different things that could happen during the showcase. We're going to be eating good for those 2 hours. Seeing all the new first-party games, all the new titles that are becoming a Game Pass on day one, followed by an in-depth look at Todd Howard's next potential masterpiece. It's gonna be a good day, although today was definitely not one for me as someone who wanted to play Redfall at 60 FPS. I am not happy with this news whatsoever. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments below, and as always, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're new. Check out the Xbox 2 Patreon in the description. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.